of long question, so forgive me as I read it, but I think it's a very profound question. It gets to the idea of, is project management a life skill or a profession? The question reads, with all the advances in software and processes along with trained team members, won't the job of project manager become, one, so easy that anyone can do it, and two, less in demand? You hear it all the time. Get the right people and you won't need a project manager. Hire someone who knows IT and project management so you don't have to hire a project manager. Fix the processes and the project managers are not required, etc. Jack, what do you think about that?
So I saw that one and I immediately said, there's no way. We heard years ago that programmers are becoming so fast and happen. And so briefly my view is that people are always going to need some leadership around a project. And it's my view, having been a project manager for part of my career, not all of my career, is that it's a thankless job, that you're a servant, that without that servitude, the project won't get done. I don't think it's even possible that any of us would run out of things to do.
Great. Mark, what do you think about that?
Sure. Which one?
Mark was assigned to answer it. How's that?
All right, thanks.
That's your Jack a curveball.
It's an interesting question because the people who make the statement, anybody can do it, right? And processes will take care of it. Do they understand project management? They don't. So it's kind of, I'd use the analogy, I'd say, all right, so really what you're saying is let's get the best musicians, put them in a room, and they don't need a conductor, right? Not gonna happen. So I think our challenge is to help the consumers of project management, help the executives understand the value of project management. Everybody in this room really should be selling and educating on what project managers do and why. I frequently hear questions, the people we're working with, they don't see the value in project management. And I respond, why would you expect them to? What have you done to help them see the value and understand it, right? So I think project management as a profession, we need to elevate it. We need to take it to the next level. We, meaning all the people in this room, lead, right? Be convincing, be compelling, be brief, be brilliant, be gone, be all those things, right? You've heard us talk about that before. Have an influence, on the future. I don't think project management is going away. I think that if anything, we're going to need more of it and better project managers. I'm getting the wave here, so I'll stop. Thank you.
Marty.
I don't agree with that. I think the role is going to either change or disappear over time. I think you're going to see every member of the team capable of being a project manager, and that role, like it is currently in pharmaceuticals, rotating or moving depending on the phase of the project. And that project management will be, what is the term used of life choice?
Life skill.
It'll be a life skill rather than a profession.
Man, I want to add a comment to that. As a training organization, what we need to be able to get to the point that you're talking about where it would be a life skill, it's probably not 2022. Because to be able to get to be a life skill, that means the undergraduate programs, the high school programs, all understand the value of the skills that we learn as project managers. If it is at that lowest level in the elementary schools and high schools and bring it all, it is a life skill. And at the point in time when everybody's learning it from the time that they're walking, that's when we could see it kind of evolve into kind of what Marty's talking about as a vision. But to today, it's not going away in 10 years, is what I would say.
So do you think the answer to that question is different for IT versus like Southern California Edison?
Well, I think from Southern California Edison perspective, the project management job is here to stay. We have launched a bunch of programs at Southern California Edison to be able to train our project managers and get them to the next level. We have actually developed, and that's one of the questions that we have in here, we have developed a comprehensive program for them that would fit the particular work that they're working on. For example, if you have a project manager that is going to a particular business unit, we want to make sure that this project manager gets rotated within that business unit to understand how every piece of the business unit functions, so when they manage a project, they can definitely be able to maneuver the pieces. So part of that, we put a competency plan in place for each one of those project managers before we put them into that particular unit. So whoever interview for the position needs to fit the competency plan for that particular project manager. So our PMO department is definitely growing, and we're putting education in place as well. PMP certification as well as soft skills. We have in-house soft skill training from our trainers in the HR department, and it's a pretty extensive program today at Edison. So
what about in the agile world? What does project management look like? Is it a life skill or a profession?
I think I'll probably combine a number of statements that have been said. I think that what we're seeing a lot more of is project managers and other types of leaders understanding more about what is successful leadership and what is successful ability to do planning as opposed to come up with a plan and things like that. I think there's a great opportunity. I've seen a lot of large organizations, the programs that are about developing project managers are including more things, not just the typical task management, but also including things like what is Agile. Agile is about dealing with changing situations and learning. There are some things coming out from the lean world, whether it's Kanban or lean startup or any of these things about being more innovative. So the one thing I'll say about the time right now is that there's so many things coming out right now. It's a great opportunity for project managers because they have so much influence and connections to various parts of the organization to learn about these and start influencing that change in their organization. And that's kind of consistent with the PMI theme right now. It's about change. Project managers right now ideally situated to do that. In 2022, maybe the capability of project management and planning is something that a lot more people have.
So I'm starting to hear a consensus that project management is a life skill, but there is room for profession. How does it play in the pharmaceutical world?
In the pharmaceutical world, it's specifically where if you're in the R&D or the discovery mode, it's usually a senior level chemist or biologist leading the project. When you move into the next stage of preclinical, it's a different specialty that'll take the lead. When you move into clinical, it's a whole different team that does it. And when you finally get into commercialization, it's a brand new team. And so the project flows through the process steps and changes the leadership and the model as it moves. And I see that happening in more and more industries, especially in product development.
Jack, you've had a chance to listen to everyone. Do you have any thoughts? Just something kind of sum it all up.
Get my wine out of the way.
So as Marty said, in our industry, I work for Allergan here in Irvine. In our industry, essentially it's invent, make, sell, right? So you have the R&D teams that are either discovering for the first place or developing and seeking to get regulatory approval for a product. But the transition points are the hard things. So and you know this, Marty, is that when you move to a product release to roll out a product to the market, you're doing it literally on the morning after the FDA approval. So how do you prepare for such a thing, and how do those teams work together? If the clinical teams are operating relatively independently from the commercial teams, which is what they do, they specialize in getting approval, they don't specialize in selling. There's this period of time before the product was launched, and then subsequently after that briefly, where those teams have to work together. And they have very different mindsets. One's very structured, the other one's very creative.